Hello, friends. So, as per the tradition, we have been discussing the human rights topic in last 4 lectures, and this is the fifth one which we are going to discuss. So, here again, we will be discussing about human rights, wherein we will try to look at the aspect of human rights in Indian context. For that matter, we have something called as Directive Principles of State Policy. This is something which is envisioned in the Constitution, which is mentioned in the Constitution, wherein certain moral responsibilities are added in states' functions. Whenever it comes to government, government does many things while doing its governance. One of the part of their governance is Directive Principles of State Policy. So, what exactly is Directive Principles, or in short, which we call DPSP, is guiding principles to the government. These are the principles which shows that in what manner, in what way the government should function, how the government is supposed to be functioning in an ideal way. That is what we can expect from DPSP. Along with that, when it comes to DPSP, it is necessary instrument to realize a welfare state. Right? In order to achieve the welfareistic policies, we need directive principles of state policy. However, these directive principles are not binding on the state institutions. We have seen or we have discussed about fundamental rights in previous discussions, wherein fundamental rights are enforceable in the court. However, so is not the case with this. Directive principles cannot be enforced forcefully. If state is willing to do so, they are free to do. However, no one can force the state. Even judiciary cannot force the state to do such things. Even if these DPSPs are violated, court cannot go against it, or citizens cannot appeal in the court against the government. However, we can say that these principles are fundamental in the administration of the country. And it shall be the duty of the state to implement these principles while making laws. It is like advice which is given to the government while formation and implementation of the law. Hence, we can say that state has certain moral obligations to implement this. Even though it cannot be forcefully enforced, however, state has certain moral obligations on it. When it comes to directive principles, it can be classified into 3 categories. However, in the Constitution, it is not divided separately, or the classification is not provided. But by understanding, by reading those articles, those provisions, we can classify this into 3 parts. First is socialist principles, second, Gandhian principle, and third one is liberal intellectual principles. So one by one, we will be looking at this. First one is socialistic principle. They are the principles that aim at providing social and economic justice. It's all about economic justice. Whenever it comes to socialistic principles, socialism always ensures that the gap between rich and poor shall be minimized. Rich should not be more richer and poor should not be more poor. However, a particular egalitarian society is envisioned by socialistic principles. Therefore, you can see Article 31, which talks about promotion of welfare state or welfareistic state, which will eventually develop citizens. It is willing to bring order in the society through justice, social and economic, as well as political order. Whatever inequalities are there, whatever you can say status differentiation is there, that is supposed to be eradicated. One more article, that is Article 39, deals with securing its citizens right to adequate means of livelihood for all citizens. It says that every citizen has right to earn their own livelihood, and there should be equitable distribution of materialistic resources so that a common good can be achieved. And therefore, prevention of the concentration of wealth should be somehow stopped. Whatever concentration of money is seen in the hands of few people, that should not be there. And it is possible when equal pay is permitted for equal work, whether it is men or women, irrespective of their gender, equal pay is supposed to be extended to every citizen for equal work. Along with that, it promotes equal justice and free legal aid to the poor. We can see that if a particular victim is willing to get the justice from judiciary, so that person is supposed to get the legal assistance, and this assistance is provided by the government. And many times you might see that the government advocates are appointed for such cases. Along with that, Article 41 is there. In case of unemployment, old age, sickness, or disablement, it secures right to work, right to education, right to public assistance. These are the things which are required. When you don't have the job, when you don't have, can say, a well economic condition, in such way, we can assist or we can help those needy people. Whenever it comes to working condition, every worker is supposed to get humane conditions, just and human conditions, wherein can say every person can work with dignity. Along with that, living wage is expected, decent standard of living, and social and cultural opportunities for all workers are expected. Steps are supposed to be taken to secure the participation of workers in the management of the industries. Whenever there is conflict, we know that many times conflict arises between the workers and the management of the company. Therefore, it is expected that the management should have at least few workers in decision-making process so that these problems can be resolved. It also talks about raising the level of nutrition and standard of living of people and to improve the public health. Next one is Gandhian Principle. We all know about Gandhian Principles, which believes in peace. So these principles are based on like Gandhian ideology used to represent the program of reconstruction enunciated by Gandhi during national movement. Few of them can be organizing village panchayats. Gandhi believed that villages should be self-sufficient. They should have their own government. And therefore, village panchayats or gram panchayats should be enabled in the nation. It also promotes cottage industries. Since Gandhi was supporter of indigenous goods, therefore, this provision is added wherein cottage industry is supposed to be promoted by the government. Along with that, voluntary formation, autonomous functioning, democratic control, and professional management of cooperative societies is also expected. Many times we see that cooperative societies are established by the society, by the different groups, and these are supposed to be well maintained and transparent in its functioning. It also promotes educational and economic interests of backward communities, particularly SC, scheduled caste, and scheduled tribes, along with weaker sections. So they are also supposed to be protected by the government. It prohibits or it desire or it demands to prohibit the consumption of intoxicating drinks and drugs which are injurious to the health. So it's all about maintaining public health. And Article 48 deals with prohibiting the slaughterhouse, wherein cows and calves and other milk and raw cattle are indulged. Along with that, they are supposed to be, breeded well. Well breeding should be done with those cattle. So it was the end of this lecture.